we are going to be going live every Friday night, not this week, starting next week, to preview the Saturday slates. But today we are so excited to be here because we are going to preview the NHL season, the 2021, not the 2020-2021, just the 2021 NHL season. With me are the gurus of NHL for Bankster DFS. We've got Sean Goodwin at Big Number 55. We've got Josh Hook at Hook Monster over on Twitter. I am Doug Shane at Bankster 17. But really, I'm going to let these guys take it in a few minutes, and they're going to lead us to glory. But before we do, let's quickly talk about what you get at Bankster DFS. If you're interested in becoming a member, you head on over to banksterdfs.com, and for under $4 a week, you get everything that we cover: hockey, basketball, football, baseball, college, niche sports, NASCAR, PGA, EuroLeague, MMA, EPL, tennis, everything. Articles, player pools, Slack chat. Not a bunch of different prices. One price, $3.99 a week. Gets you everything we cover. BanksterDFS.com. If you have questions, hit me up on Twitter at Bankster17. I would gladly help you out with getting your membership taken care of on Bankster DFS. You can also find us on YouTube. Put in my name, Doug Shane. And make sure to click the subscribe button, click the notification icon, like and share. We'll let you know when we're going live, when we have videos that are going to go up. We're going to have a bunch of videos for the season. And we do NFL videos. We're going to be doing NBA, Major League Baseball. We're going to be on a lot. We may do a Royal Rumble video. So we got a lot going on here at Bankster DFS. But NHL season's upon us, gentlemen. And before we get started with the previews, I first want to say a quick hello to both of you. Welcome to the life of live streaming. I know you guys have both been on the football show, but now this is your show. This is your chance to shine. So glad to have you guys both here. Sean and Hook, welcome to NHL season.
Thanks, Dougie.
Oh,
Pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. My 2 week rotation is over.
When Doug stops talking, which is rare, take that moment and run with it. Gouda will teach you guys how to do that. Before we get to the talking of the previews, which the boys are going to talk about, I'm a numbers guy. I love taking a look at numbers, and I want to look at the numbers for DraftKings and FanDuel and kind of talk about the scoring differences on both sites. The first thing you're going to notice is on DraftKings, one utility spot we're on, and 3 wing spots. We're on FanDuel. When we go over there, you'll see only 2 wing spots, 2 utility spots. So you have a little more flexibility on FanDuel. But here's where the scoring really comes in and the differences. And I'm not going to go through piece by piece by piece. But what I am going to tell you is on DraftKings, much like with football, they reward the peripheral stats more than the main scoring stats. Because on DraftKings, a goal is only worth 8.5 points, and assist is only worth 5 points. But over on FanDuel, you'll find goals are worth 12 points and assists are worth 8 points. But the peripheral stats on DraftKings, it's those bonuses that are really going to get you going. It's that hat trick bonus, 3 points. The 5-shot bonus, 3 points. The 3 blocked shot bonus, which is 3 points. The 3 points bonus, which is 3 extra points. You don't get any of those bonuses on FanDuel. So DraftKings is going to reward you for guys. It's almost like in football, a PPR guy. You're going to look for a lot of volume. Whereas on FanDuel, you're looking for those guys like in football, the touchdown scorers, you're going to look for the goal makers, the Austin Matthews, the Alexander Ovechkins. You're looking for the guys who can put the biscuit in the basket because the goals are so heavily favored. What's that going to mean for cash and GPP? We're going to talk about that as we go through the team previews. But really, we're going to talk, and I'll let Sean really get into this eventually, but it's going to let you find a lot of hidden value on DraftKings, in particular in using defensemen. We were talking before we went on the air. If you have a defender who does nothing but gets 5 blocked shots, that's it. 5 block shots only. You're looking at nearly 10 DraftKings points. That's a ridiculously high score, but you're not going to get that on FanDuel for that same level of performance. And that's where we can start to sneak defenders who are generally cheaper than wings and centers into our cash game lineups to allow us to spend up on the big goal scorers and the guys who do a whole lot of things. So that's really what we're looking at different. I've got the DraftKings scoring up there. And then again, you can see the FanDuel scoring, that extra utility spot with those 12 points for goals, 8 points for assists. The goalie points are a little bit different too. And again, I'll let you all dig into that a little bit different on your own. You also get a little more money on FanDuel. You get $5,500 as opposed to $55,000 as opposed to $50,000. But boy, other than that, we are. That's about what we got going on. So, gentlemen, let's move into what we've got going on here, and let's talk about the North Division Is that what we're going with? We're going to call it the Scotia North Division, or are we okay with just calling it the North Division, Shawnee?
I'm Canadian Division. It's the Canadian Division, man. Come on.
I call it the Canuck Division. Let's go.
Canuck. I can't call it the Canuck Division. That'd be someone's like, are you cheering for the Canucks? Like, no, come on.
Of course I'm rooting for the Canucks. They're the team, man. Late night hammer time.
Yeah, right.
So what we're going to really do is we're going to take a look and we're going to go team by team, checking out the previews, and we're going to start right here with the team. And you'll notice we've got the team will be it will have a colored box around it. We'll have some players to watch, sleepers, and new players for the team. And you can find those players in the article that Sean and Hook wrote for Bankster DFS members. The NHL preview, it's like 27 pages of really good information. This is like a Cliff Notes version, and we're going to take you team by team, give you a couple minutes per team if the game is playing tomorrow. If the team's on the slate for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, which is opening night, we're going to spend a little more time. The boys will spend a little more time talking about that. But for now, Shawnee, what do you see for Calgary Flames this year? What are you looking for this year?
Actually, so we're looking for I think we're looking for a little bounce back there for the boys up there in Alberta. Johnny Hockey didn't exactly have himself a typical season last year. He only had 18 goals. So I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce back for Calgary, which for us early on, because I don't care, it's a new season. There's still recency bias. I do believe it carries from one season to the next. So there's going to be some guys, people that might shy away from Calgary early on, which is something that we can take advantage of. A couple of guys I'm really excited about this year is going to be, I love Dylan Dubé. He's going to be working his way up the lineup, I'm pretty sure. I think they're going to give him a shot. The kid's a player. I used him a lot last year as a value one-off, playing on the third line, and whenever he got a bump up to the second or into the top six. So he's definitely one of the guys on my radar for sure that I'm really excited about. Another guy that excites me for Calgary is Anderson on the blue line. Rasmus Anderson looking like he might get some power play time. They're going to give him a shot to replace TJ Brody up top. So another sneaky play, I think, early on, if they're going to give him that power play time. And more importantly, he's going to be on the ice with Giordano. So he's going to be all the high leverage situations, big time minutes. A nice little value play. Last year I used a lot of the second line with Tkachuk and Backlund over top of Monahan and Gaudreau, because I think they got it done a little more. And they're all second lines always carry lower ownership. That's something, of course, we'll talk to you. We'll let everybody know at Bankster in the Slack chat when we do our articles. Those are the plays that we'll find you. I mean, everybody wants to play Connor and the rest of the boys and Gaudreau and everything like that. But that's where we can get some leverage on the field by playing some of these other guys. Calgary brought in Markstrom and Tanev also on the back end. Their goaltending was horrific last year, and it cost them. So Markstrom, I think, will be on our radar as well. This season.
So is Calgary a team we're not gonna target as much anymore with opposing offenses? Because I know at home Calgary tends to play in some interesting shootouts with Markstrom and net. Is that going to change things?
Yes, a little bit. Hey, when Toronto's coming to Calgary, we're going to fade Toronto? No. Are we going to fade Connor? No. But are we going to not play Montreal in Calgary? Probably. Are we not going to play Ottawa in Calgary? Probably. Right. I mean, you're not fading the obvious guys. It's just they're not with Markstrom there. Tanev, the defense is a little more locked down. I won't be going out of my way to attack Calgary, at least with the lesser teams. That aren't the Torontos and Winnipegs and of the North Division.
Now, talking about teams that we're going to want to attack, and I don't mean attack from a defensive standpoint. I mean load up on these offensive players. Edmonton Oilers, what are we thinking about this team? It looks like they got a lot of the same players as last year with a couple of decent additions to the team. What do we think about Edmonton this year?
Well, I mean, Edmonton's Edmonton, right? I mean, it starts and ends with you got Connor and Leon, right? That's been the way we've attacked Edmonton forever. Everybody knows that. Clefbaum is out this year. He won't play at all. So they brought in Tyson Barrie, ex of my Toronto Maple Leafs, which I think is a great fit for Barrie, actually. he won't be in the limelight out there in Edmonton as much, and they're going to plug him right into the power play. Right now, it looks like Nugent Hopkins is alongside McDavid as of now. This is something that's obviously fluid for lines. But I'm a player that I'm on big time this year is Kyler Yamamoto. He's on the second line with Draisaitl. I think he'll be sneaky. I think we got a little Sean 2.0 stack coming here with Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Barry. I know Barry. Oh my God! But I love that I love what that stack could do. That's 3/5 of the power play. That's fading Connor but getting access to Connor. So that's a stack that I will be looking at. Connor.
Is Barry going to be on the power play one?
Well, it's him, and so they've been bounced. That's what I'm assuming. I mean, this is, like I said, we're early in the season. There's no beat writers allowed in practice. What do we got right now? Right now, he's running the first power play unit, and Yamamoto's on the point, which is amazing. And Nurse is on the second power play unit with Bear right now. Ethan Bear is another kid that I'm loving this year, and he's going to be running that second power play. Ethan Bear is going to be someone that's on my radar as a great value early on, especially because I expect his price to increase. But as of now, I'm expecting Barry to be on the point man on the top power play right now.
Now I'm looking at tomorrow's slate, and they're playing at home against Vancouver. And Tyson Barrie's only $4,400. To me, at the top, at running point on that power play, that seems like a ridiculously good value. Is he a guy that we're going to be looking at for cash tomorrow? Obviously, for stacking Edmonton in a GPP, he's going to be part of that. But is he kind of a guy that we're going to look at for cash tomorrow?
100%. For me, I got the article for tomorrow, so I'm going to be getting that up later tonight. For Bankster members, Barry's on that power play at 4,400. He will not be at 4,400 for very long. He'll probably be crouching up towards 6K right quick. And against Braden Holtby. Guess what we did last year? A lot of we stacked against Braden Holtby. So guess what? I'm going to be stacking against Braden Holtby with the Oilers right out the gate because why not? The key though. And maybe we got the Sean's 2.0 stack, which would be awesome, is we can get Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Barry for a fraction of the ownership of, say, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Barry, if somebody went that way, so to speak, right? I don't have no interest in Cassian on the top line. I don't care. Let other people play him. I want nothing to do with Cassian. But what I want to do is run stacks that are going to be on the ice at even strength, and then they're going to be on that top power play. Now, that being said, I will probably have a McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Barry stack in GPP because, I'm not going to be one of those guys going, I can't believe Connor scored 5 goals tonight and I didn't have him. That's not going to be me, so I'm going to come there. But I love the Draisaitl, Yamamoto, Barry as a nice leverage, lower owned GPP.
Where's Dominic Cahoon going to play? Is he going to get some? Is he going to get any power play time? Is he going to get any opportunity to skate with the top 6? Or is he a guy that because he's sitting at $2,900, and I know he was a valuable punt play that we used last year. Is that someone we're going to be looking at now that he's over here in Edmonton, or is he someone we're going to be fading at the moment?
100%. Yeah, no, for sure. If he's going to be top 6 minutes, power play 2 for Edmonton. I'm not going to. That's not like Edmonton's one of those teams that roll their first power play a lot like Boston for like a minute and 45 of the 2-minute power play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Power play 2 will find their way on the ice when, the top guys just came off the ice and line change, whatever scenario is. But Edmonton runs their power play unit, power play 1, most of the power play. But Cahoon, if he's going to be at skating with Draisaitl and Yamamoto at even strength at 2,900, that's just an amazing value play for GPP. I mean, you could stack them. You could run that stack. You could run that line, Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Cahoon, and then throw a Barry or Nurse in there. One thing that we will get as we get to like the 4th or 5th game, when I do my write-ups, I start to look for correlation at even strength. So it worked out very well last year. Like everybody will play that power play quarterback, but at even strength, they might not play as much with a particular line as much. So we can get leverage that way. So so maybe you go a Nurse in GPP, right? That kind of scenario, because he plays more at even strength with, say, Draisaitl or whatever. But that's something as we get to the 4th or 5th game that'll start to come out in the research.
And now, Hook, I know this game's on the slate for tomorrow. Are there any plays you're looking at that we didn't mention for this game, or did Sean cover everything for you?
Yeah, like this is okay. So this is funny. I'm not gonna let him call it Sean 2.0 because I made my money on Edmonton last year. So I'm taking this one. So like, okay, we only have a 5-game slate tomorrow, and Connor McDavid is popular on every single slate he's on. But the thing I call them like onslaught lineups, right? And Edmonton is one that we can. They're beautiful for this because McDavid and Draisaitl won't play on the same line, but they'll be on the power play together. So what I like to do, and our question is like, how do we make these lines different when they're in a good spot? So I'll actually pair those two together and then try, and if hopefully there's enough correlation where I can get a line 2 and another line 1 member in there as well, and then just pair the defenseman. This way I have line 1 covered pretty well, line 2 covered pretty well, and then I'll just throw the defenseman in who will overlap with both of them at some point during the game. And if I get a huge power play goal, awesome. If I get the scoring spread out over line 1 and line 2, that's great. Because, I mean, the goal we're trying to hit probably to really take down a GPP is about 150 points. And granted, it's expensive, but most people, when they do their GPP roster construction, they look for 1 good line, 1 bad line, instead of actually going for mass correlation. And if you do this, Vancouver, Edmonton is probably one of the higher scoring games tomorrow, in my opinion. And I think Tampa Bay is going to be probably the overwhelming chalk tomorrow night. But, I mean, McDavid's always going to carry ownership. But if you do that, you're basically only limiting yourself. You got to get one thing right. Like if Edmonton scores 4 to 5 goals, there is a good shot you have 2, maybe 3 pieces of exposure to all their goals. And that is a ton of scoring. And your line is so much different than anybody else because most people won't take that next step of correlation when we get into the GPP views of or GPP lineup construction.
I love running Edmonton onslaughts. One team I don't like running an onslaught with, and I just don't, or next couple of teams probably, Montreal. Don't think we're going to be onslaughting Montreal too much this year. Boy, is there anyone in Montreal that we like, John? Who are we looking at this year for Montreal? And for tomorrow as well.
So Montreal, what do we do with Montreal? I mean, I hate Montreal. It's obvious we hate. It's just
Skip.
Montreal has actually some nice pieces. All right, I'm not gonna lie, and I will actually have a little bit of exposure to them tomorrow because Toronto is still Toronto. I mean, I love Toronto obviously, but Freddie. I could see Toronto winning 5-4. Something like that tomorrow. So if Montreal's popping 4 goals, who's scoring? Gallagher's an obvious target. Tartar's an obvious target. Max Domi's gone this year. A kid that I loved last year and played whenever I could when he was moved up in the lineup was Nick Suzuki. I love this kid, and it looks like they're going to let him. Looks like he's finally going to be a lock in the top 6. I think he's going to be slotting into the second line at this point with Drouin, maybe with I would assume with Anderson. So that their power play was horrific last year. So Montreal's going to have to show me that's improved before I do that. In regards to tomorrow, 1 off, 2 off. Gallagher's a 1 off in cash because he shoots a ton. Gallagher will be in the cash pool tomorrow for sure. That I can guarantee you. I used Gallagher a lot. He had 223 shots, I believe it was last year. He just shoots because basically he's one of the guys who can actually score on this team. And we got him tomorrow. What do we got him at? Where is there? He's at 6,300. So, but on DraftKings, he's gonna shoot a ton. He should be able to get that shot bonus that you were talking about earlier, Dougie. You could maybe pair him up with, say, a Petrie or Weber. You could probably, if you wanted to go power play, you could maybe, who do we got going on here? Petrie, Weber. Yeah, you could maybe do it. I'm probably going to go, Suzuki. I'm probably going to use 1 off to Montreal tomorrow. Gallagher, Suzuki, maybe Weber, Petrie.
Shea Weber feels cheap at 5,900 for again as a cash option, right? Shea Weber can do a lot of things, and he's a relatively aggressive defender. Is he a guy that we're targeting as a one-off type of a cash play, or are there just too many other options in defense?
I'm not sure about Weber yet. I mean, so the thing with Weber is he's a great candidate. So if Montreal's power play last year was back to the point to Weber, let him shoot. Which is part of the reason why the power play was so awful, because that was the strategy was. Let's tee it up for Weber and let him rocket 110 mile an hour shots in on a goal, and let's see if we can bang one in or bounces off our ass.
I mean, he was just firing off 5, 6, 7 sabs a game, sabs being shots and block shots. And with those bonuses for both, if he can get you, to the bonus on both, that's a big. I would say that's probably a big deal, right? If you're looking to use him, and $5,900 seems reasonable for him.
What'll happen for me is hopefully we'll find some lines. I might end up going Petrie just for the cost difference. Tomorrow cash. Petrie's $1,400 cheaper. And if
big goal scoring threat.
What's that?
Yes, he's a big goal scoring threat, Petrie. He does okay. He does okay from there.
It's basically who's going to be if we can find it out, who's going to be running the top power play. Just because I'll check. I'm looking at some lines right now, and they got Weber and Petrie on the power play 1 without Gallagher for some reason. Gallagher's on power play 2. This is all he's true or not. But I mean, I would probably lean Petrie for the discount tomorrow. That $1,400, that's a lot. That's if it was $200 or $300 maybe, but $1,400, I'd probably lean Petrie. But once I get through everything, we'll see if Weber makes it. But he's a GPP option for sure at the worst.
And with them on the slate tomorrow, Hook, is there anyone that you're looking at specifically? I know you like to run those leverage plays.
I mean, like, if you are playing in like the I think it's called the opening night puck with 15,000 people, you could stack Montreal 1 or 2, but I really don't have it, because I mean it's Toronto, they can give up goals. But you're playing at you're hoping for the Hail Mary kind of like. I mean, why is Gallagher not on line 1 or power play 1? That just makes no sense to me.
That probably changes. That probably changes over time, right?
We can't put a lot of stock, I don't think, at this point yet, just because, I mean, who knows what's true and not. I mean, hopefully we can find out.
Yeah, hopefully it's not like the bubble and we have an idea 30 minutes before puck drop about what the lines are going to look like.
Well, like I messaged you earlier about morning skates, right? So hopefully teams will have morning skates. That didn't happen in the bubble, but I'm hoping now they might do it this time in this reboot here. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams that we're probably not going to play too many guys from, maybe some defenders. Ottawa. What do you think about Ottawa?
Actually, you'd be surprised. I actually kind of like Ottawa.
Do you now?
Ottawa than you think. Ottawa went out and they brought in quite a few guys. They got Dadonov. I always say his name wrong. Dadonov, whatever. The guy from Florida. They got brought in.
Evgeny Dadonov.
Yeah, him. Evgeny.
That guy.
But they brought in that Evgeny. They brought in Stepan. I mean, the rookie from Germany, Stutzla. I can say that, right? I can say that one. Tim Stutzla. He's definitely going to be. So, I mean, Ottawa was run and gun last year, basically played no defense. I'm expecting that basically to continue. But, I mean, Thomas Chabot was on my radar a lot. I played a lot of Thomas Chabot. He's just a great young kid. A lot of offensive player. I love him. His combos quite a bit. Anthony Duclair we used a lot last year. He is obviously in Florida now. But I'm gonna be having some Ottawa, especially. I mean, early on, if everyone's gonna be stacking against them, I'm definitely gonna have me some exposure to Ottawa. They have some nice pieces. I mean, they're gonna.
So it sounds like there might be a good leverage play early in the season. Price down, low expectations, and they could be one of those plucky, fun kind of a team that they might give up some goals, but they might be in little mini shootouts.
Oh no, absolutely! Like Ottawa's going to win game 6-5. Right? So Matt Murray is they brought Matt Murray in because Craig Anderson just saw enough rubber and he's probably like forgetting him out. Plus he was 39 or 40. So Matt Murray, who's is a hot and cold goalie. I mean, we've at his best, he took Pittsburgh on a run to the cup, but I still think they're going to be 5-4, 6-5 a lot of the time. in run and gun type situations, and we'll happily take advantage. Like I said, people will stack against Ottawa for obvious reasons. Drake Batherson, another kid that I really like. If he's going to be getting top 6 minutes, they have some nice options there, and one that we will, I'm sure we will happily take advantage of early on at lower ownership.
Now, the next team, we can just skip them, right? No one's interested in talking about Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sleep.
What are we thinking, Sean? Who might we like on Toronto? I don't know. Who do you like on Toronto, Shawnee?
Toronto's obvious, right? They got, right? It's Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Willie, Nylander, Thornton. Thornton's there now, and he's apparently going to be starting on the top line. So, Thornton's I'm not going to play Jumbo, I don't think, tomorrow. Maybe I might. I don't know. I think everyone's going to play Jumbo tomorrow because he's going to be on the top line. Riley should be going back.
Hey, for those of us who don't know anything about, for people who don't know anything about hockey, who's Jumbo?
Oh, that would be Mr. Joe Thornton.
Okay, I thought so, but not all of us eat, sleep, and breathe hockey. So sometimes it helps to know who they are.
I do that a lot. That's my fault. I
didn't know
that.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to get the layman's terms for those of us who don't live north of the border.
That's right. Matthews, it looks like Marner and Matthews are lining up to start the season. So instead of Tavares and Marner, so Matthews. So we were talking about it earlier. So like on FanDuel. So I never played Marner. Marner doesn't shoot. Marner is a pass first player. So I never used Marner as a one-off. Marner was always part of the stack. So I never used Marner in cash. So we don't stack. I don't stack in cash. If last year in cash, it would have been like maybe Matthews, Barry, or whatever. Marner for me is a GPP part of a stack. So you run Matthews, Marner, and Riley. I love the Sean 3.0. We'll get up to 10 stacks. I don't know.
Who's the best value play on Toronto? If I'm looking to play Toronto tomorrow night, right? Because they're in, I think, a pretty decent matchup against the Canadiens. And I'm looking as someone who clearly knows a little bit about hockey. I'm just looking at all these names of guys who have been successful in other situations, and they're priced down. Kerfoot, Vesey. I'm looking at some of Simmons. I'm looking at these guys who I think, to me, look like guys who might be able to do something. Are any of those guys worth taking a look at? Are they going to get top 6 minutes, power play minutes? Who are we looking at on this team?
Once again, it's like, how do the Lions? What do we trust? They got Simmons. Apparently, Simmons is going to get power play one time. So as a one-off GPP, sure, as a value play,
he's $2,600. That's super. He scores a goal. You're crushing value.
Oh, 100%. Because I think Simmons is going to be the guy. So on that power play unit, I think Simmons is going to be the guy that's going to be crashing the front, right? Marner and Matthews and those guys will be there on the sides, waiting for their openings for the shots, stuff like that. If that's going to be the case, you could use Joe Thornton as a one-off too, right? If that's if you're stacking up Edmonton, but you want to get a piece of Toronto, Thornton or Simmons could be a great way to do it. Now I would lean Thornton because he's going to play with Matthews and Marner at even strength. So obviously that's the way you want to go that way, right? Jimmy Vesey is going to be on line 2. He's at 3. So he's going to be playing with Tavares and Nylander tomorrow, it looks like, to start. Just go to the net. Keep your stick on the ice and go to the net. Tavares and these guys will find you, right? But as far as that, beyond that, TJ Brody. TJ Brody's probably going to be in the cash pool tomorrow. He does a little bit of everything. The third and fourth lines for Toronto, I probably won't be going to tomorrow. I don't think we need to go there. Hook mentions, right? You can try. Tomorrow could be a game where you stack the power play, right? Maybe you go Tavares, Matthews, right? Because nobody does that, right? Like that's a great leverage GPP play, right?
I love stacking power play. Boy, if I go GPP, I always look right to that power play, especially against teams that aren't very good against the power play. Early in the season, we're not 100% sure there, but boy, that's a great tip right there. I love running power play lines.
Yeah, people think it's thin, but it's not. Like, they're still going to be the team, the lines those are the team's best scoring options. So I mean, teams are trying to get Matthews and Tavares in positions to score. Like, even if it's not on the power play, still you lose some correlation. The goal still happens. And you're probably going to see 3 to 5 power plays a game. So great.
But I love it because it gives you, as you were saying earlier, Hook, it gives you the option to get both top lines and the power play covered. I mean, if they're scoring, odds are one of those guys will be involved. And if you're lucky enough to get it on a power play, that's where you're going to really multiply your score. And I think that's one of my favorite strategies in GPPs is to run those power play lines. Especially, I love it if they're on separate, even straight lines, because it diversifies just a little bit. It gives me a better opportunity to get more ice time, essentially.
Well, yeah, and most teams also can't shut down both lines, especially 2 elite lines like Toronto has. So one line will probably go off, and one team it'll be harder for them to score. And so, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, and with each layer of
if Toronto scores 5 goals tomorrow and they're split evenly amongst the lines, I mean, you might not win the GPP, but you're going to put yourself in a great position to cash. But if they happen to come 3 of them on the power play and you've got that power play stacked, you've now put yourself in a position to win a GPP.
Yes.
Team I'm looking at for tomorrow, a player particularly that I love tomorrow. I mean, I just love him every slate, is Quinn Hughes. I'm a big Quinn Hughes fan. He's a couple $100 cheaper than Nate Schmidt. That doesn't seem right given what Quinn Hughes does for fantasy. Sean, am I wrong in looking at Quinn Hughes tomorrow and overall for the season, or is this not? Am I way off base or what?
No, this is classic DK. Huge misprice here. Huge misprice here. Quinn Hughes below 6K is I will happily load up on and take to the bank all day long. He should not be 50. Was it $5,100? Yeah.
Again, $200 cheaper than Nate Schmidt.
Yeah, no. That's I mean, DK has quite a few pricing errors this week or for tomorrow. And I imagine for the first week to 10 days, they were a little better last year in terms of adjusting. They were a little quicker, which kind of disappointed me because I want to take advantage of it as long as I can. But Quinn Hughes at $5,100. No. Quinn Hughes $5,100 is cash, GPP, one off. Do whatever you want. Get Quinn Hughes in your lineup tomorrow night. 100%.
Is there a reason Besser is down at $4,600? Did I miss him? Did he opt out? Is he not good anymore? Like I thought he was a good player, and he's sitting at $4,600 tomorrow. Is that also another mispricing, or am I missing something there?
No, Vancouver as a team basically as overall. Patterson is basically the only one that's probably priced right. Maybe Edler. I would say Edler's right in that range and should be most of the season. Patterson at 6,800 is about correct as well. But Besser shouldn't. No way. There's 4,600. He's going to be playing. Besser's going to be playing on the top power play unit. I believe they're also going to be using the even strength as well. JT Miller is out for tomorrow. That I before we came on, a buddy of mine messaged me. So it looks like the value block of the night, Mr. Höglander is going to be filling in for him at $2,900. That's Niles Höglander for those of you keeping score at home. Looks like he's going to be plugging into JT's spot, and will be on the top power play. I'll make sure that'll cover it in the write up for tomorrow, just so we don't forget. We don't want to forget that. But it looks like he's going to be running top power play as well. So value play lock of the slate.
Is he? Are people going to know this, or is this something that like Bankster members are going to know? Like, and it's okay if it's other people know. I don't mind sharing the love, but is this going to be one of those like late game Canadian West Coast? I don't know who this guy is. Is this a real leverage play for us?
I would have preferred this news come out, say, this time or and tomorrow afternoon. It's come out pretty early. So I imagine most of the industry probably will adjust on it, unfortunately.
But are people running to Vancouver? I mean, wouldn't you say if you see Wayne Simmons is getting power play one time perhaps for Toronto, and then this guy Höglander is going to get first line time for Vancouver? Don't you think a guy like Simmons would end up being more popular, or even a Joe Thornton type who people know, especially for the casual player?
Absolutely.
Is there still some leverage there?
Oh, well, I think there is for sure.
Okay.
You know, all the sharp guys, all the sharp NHL guys, they'll be on him. But Hook was mentioning, Tampa Bay is probably going to be your top or near your chalk, and then you're going to have Toronto, Edmonton. From there, kind of divvying up the ownership. Vancouver could slide under a little bit. Mikko Koskinen is not he's not a great goalie. Clefbaum's out, so we can absolutely, and which I will be doing. I'm targeting a lot of Vancouver tomorrow as my late hammer, just to get leverage on all the Connor and everything else that everybody else will have.
Look at the next team. I don't believe they're on tomorrow's slate. Winnipeg. Who do we like for the Jets this year overall? Kind of who are we looking at as players to focus on this year?
Usual suspects in Winnipeg. Winnipeg last year was, we used Hellebuck a ton because he faced a ton of shots. The defense was horrific. We're going to stack against Winnipeg a lot this year. If Hellebuck regresses even a little bit, which off of a Vezina Trophy winning season, there's a good chance that happens. So we will be going against him for sure. In terms of, Cole Perfetti, the kid from Canada, he's going to be there. He's a good looking kid. He'll be under the radar. Scheifele, Wheeler, Ehlers.
Let me ask a question about this team. Actually, Ehlers, you have is both a player to watch because he was one of their top scorers last year, but also a sleeper. Do you think he's going to move into an upper echelon type of NHL player? Is that why he's a sleeper? Do you think he's going to be into that tier 1, 2 type of player in this league? Or
yeah,
I was just confused why he was a player to watch and a sleeper. I'm excited about that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, no, people won't play him, right?
Gotcha.
Now,
okay.
Everyone will play Connor. Everyone will play Line A. Everyone will play Scheifele and stuff. Ehlers, I played Ehlers a ton last year, and I think he's gonna. I think that because of the emergence of Ehlers, I think Winnipeg's actually gonna trade Line A at some point. I think they've kind of sort of Line A plays no defense like at all, and if he's not scoring 40 or 50 goals, then I think Winnipeg's gonna tap out on that. I think if it's not this year, it's gonna be in the offseason, but I wouldn't be surprised depending on the start he gets off to. If he gets off to a slow start, I think they might move on for him, and part of that is because of Ehlers' emergence, and that's why Ehlers actually I think is going to be on the top line with Scheifele. And
that'll be awesome. All right, Sean, go grab yourself a pint for a couple minutes. Thank you for covering the North Division. We'll come back to you when we get to the West Division. But Hook, it's time for we changed colors and everything. Hook, time to talk to you a little about the East Division, the Mass Mutual East Division. I throw up in my mouth every time I give the sponsor for these divisions. I'm not against it, but man, it just came out of nowhere.
What is it? Mass Mutual
East Division. Yeah, Bankster will refer to it as the East Division. And by the way, the North people only refer to as the Canadian Division. That's ridiculous that they didn't call it the Canadian Division.
Thank you. That's all they should have called it. I was annoyed. Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
It's crazy.
I will never refer to it anything other than Canadian Division this season.
As it should be.
I'll be right back.
So Hook, what are we looking at for Boston this year? Boston's always one of those teams that we just love to stack because and cash-wise, they seem to be a team. If you run Pasternak out there, you're fine. Like Boston's ridiculous. Who do we like? Are they worth spending up on this year? Is there any sleeper or new player that we should be looking at?
So Boston's an interesting team. Like Pasternak is a cash game staple for me. I probably stack Boston less than anybody else in in DFS. Bergeron and Marchand will always be overpriced for guys who are way too assist reliant to me. So I generally go the guy with my idea is like I know shots are coming. Who's going to take the most of them? Some nights it's going to bite me. I get that, but I'm just going to take the expensive guy or who I know who they try and funnel scoring to, and that's David Pasternak. The interesting thing is the Boston Bruins lost Zdeno Chara, and more importantly, they lost Torrey Krug off the D-line, and Charlie McAvoy looks to step up and run the point on the power play there as well as line one. And early on, he'll be pretty cheap and will be a nice added. It's probably going to be the way I actually if I'm looking to stack Boston in some way and not have to put $20,000 DK dollars to Boston. I'll probably have McAvoy more likely paired with Pasternak than the other way around, or than the other.
When you get when you're running the point on a power play with Pasternak, Marchand, and Bergeron, I mean that's not so bad. And then if one of them's out, Krejci comes in there, and it's like it's a pretty powerful power play. I think McAvoy is going to be a guy to look at this year. Assuming he stays on that power play, geez, they're going to be pretty good. Moving on to Buffalo. Speaking of, are they pretty good? Is Buffalo going to be good this year? Because I feel like they've got the players to be good. Will they be?
I think they're one of the teams most hurt by realignment. I love their first two lines. Like putting Taylor Hall with Jack Eichel is the best skater that Jack Eichel's ever had playing with him on the first line. Then that moves us to the second line where they brought in Eric Stahl, which rumor has it they brought him in to get Jeff Skinner going, who they paid a ton of money and loves to shoot the puck. Eric Stahl was his teammate in Carolina a few years ago and apparently best of friends. And so I guess, I mean, if Stahl's a distributor basically, and even if Skinner doesn't get going, Olofsson and Sam Reinhart looks to be paired with them on the second line, and that those two are very capable of putting it in the net. Rasmus Dahlin he was the number 1 overall pick, I believe, in 2018. Each year his progression is upward, and he looks probably like, I think this is the year he breaks in as an elite defenseman for the NFL, and he loves to shoot the puck and score. You can see, I mean, he missed 10 games last season, but I mean, he's a distributor, man. 36 assists, 40 points in about 60 games. I mean, that's not bad for a defenseman, especially on that team. The problem with them is just, man, look at this division, man. You got Philly, Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston, the Islanders, and the Rangers even. That's a tough division, and I just don't. I think they'll be fun to watch, and there will be definite nights where, because they're capable of scoring, but I don't think it's a team that we really. I don't expect much from long term out of them.
Do you think Taylor Hall is going to take some of the goal scoring away from Eichel? Will that make him more of an assist guy, or do you think it's going to be vice versa, or do you think both of them will be got main goal scorers? How's that going to work on that top line?
I think I honestly just think they're going to score more, and I think Eichel's still going to shoot. I don't think Eichel will be see a McDavid or a McKinnon who really take over when they're on the line. I think it'll be a pretty even balanced attack with those two. So it might be a little tricky in DFS, actually. I think it's a team I probably won't target a lot when I'm just looking at a cash lineup, except Hall shoots a ton. But I think it's more of just a stack or go home kind of thing. And it might be one of those I actually to get exposure to them if they're expensive. I just take Dahlin or whoever is going to be the line one, or Ristolian, who will be 1 or 2 on the power play with them, and just try and get the exposure that way. It's probably the way I would look to do it most of the time.
Now, Taylor Hall's old team, the New Jersey Devils, where are they going to get their goal scoring from this year?
Who knows?
I mean, this is just not a team we're going to spend a lot of time with in fantasy this year, right? I mean, the Devils they've never been a big fantasy team. I mean, are we really going to be looking to spend a lot on Kyle Palmieri, or are we just not going to be looking at New Jersey outside of maybe Jack Hughes this year?
Okay, so I had Paul Mary is a guy, if he's cheap, I play, because just a cheap guy who's still going to shoot a lot, I'm interested in. Now, he might not score goals, but I mean, you're the number 1 scoring option on a bad team. Even the worst there's going to be situations where, they probably won't have a lot of shots, but if you're 5,000 and can get me 4 to 5 shots in a game with bonuses, man, that's 15. Is that right? No, that's not right.
What's that?
It's about 10. You get 2x if you get 5 shots.
My earphones went out.
Oh, sorry. You get a 2x for if he's a $5,000 player if he gets 5 shots. And with that kind of volume, sure, I'm in. Hughes looks right now to be the line 1 center, and we'll see. He was the number 1 pick last year. His year was, I think, year or 2 before. We'll see if they go. I just don't think they have the weapons around him. I'm just really not interested in this team. I won't be using them much. Again, there might be the weird situation where they play Buffalo and give up goals because they have bad goaltending. Sure. But against the elite teams in the East, I think New Jersey is going to have a really, really rough season.
I would agree with that. Now, another team that you'd mentioned is one of the other teams in this division, New York Islanders. My team growing up, not anymore, but my team growing up. Who do we like on? What are we looking at for New York this year?
They're really an interesting team because they're defensively. They just kind of crowd the net and block the net. They take a lot of block shots on the blue line. They're a really nice defense. They're a well-coached defensive team. It's Barry Trotz. Old school hockey. They're willing to win games 2-1, 3-1. I'm really intrigued by Anthony Beauvillier. Ooh, I think I might have said that right. Even
you did. It's very French of you. I was going to attempt to talk about Beauvillier, so I'm glad that you brought him up. Is this the year that he kind of breaks out as a fantasy option for us?
Yeah, he really took over in the playoffs and had a ton of shots. Really got some confidence, scored some points, and I'm excited to see if the Islanders can transition to where it used to be like they were going to win just by defense, but I think now they have two very capable lines. And I think this could be the year that you could see the Islanders take the next step. And if they can get some like pretty reliable offense, they could be a team to watch out for in this division.
All right, so because I was going to say Islanders team like the kind of team that you might use in the right matchup, but we're not going to go out of our way to use them. But it sounds like what you're saying, what I'm hearing you say is that maybe we should start thinking about the Islanders as more of an offensive option on certain slates. Maybe expand our range a little, use a poker term, expand our range a little bit of when we might use the Islanders.
Yeah, they're going to be a team I'm looking at early, maybe for the right spot, because they do have scoring capability. And yeah, I mean, they'll never be the top of my list on a given night unless they're playing, well, maybe Buffalo or New Jersey. And I mean, that's kind of the thing we also all got to remember. We're playing every game in the same division this season. Right. So like, I know they're going to play New Jersey, Buffalo, and the Rangers to an extent 8 times each this season, or 7 times each this season, 7 or 8. Sure. So I mean, there's going to be opportunities to use them. And I mean, if they're going to be the 3rd or 4th highest owned team, like I might just, I'll use them. Like I tend to, when I build lineups, because I play a little heavier on like the 3 maxes, I kind of build, like say I was doing the Islanders, I might take Islanders 1, Islanders 2 as my first 2 like lineups, and then my third just go off the wall a little bit. But I kind of try and build a story when I'm building my 3 max entries on that. And
gotcha.
There's definitely a way I could do that, see that working this year.
How popular is Laugh going to be this year? And is he even worth you? Is he going to be worth using right off the bat? Like where are we going with the Rangers?
I love them as a team. I like Laugh, but I think he's going to be overused right away. Right now, I have him lined up as the 3rd line guy or 3rd line wing, which I mean, I generally just don't venture off into the bottom 6 lines very often. I mean, I don't ever see a reason to get that cute. But
I do remember Austin Matthews. He had 4 goals in his debut. I mean, I always go back to that. Like it could happen.
Yeah, I know. I'll let everybody play Laugh the first night, and I'll avoid it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but like the Rangers, man, it's like the Coors Field of the NHL. Like they score a ton and they give up a lot of goals. However, this season though, they did improve at goalkeeper. They have 2 young studs in net in Igor Shesterkin and Alexander Georgiev, which is they were given big minutes to Lundqvist last season, which these 2 kids appeared like they played about the second half of last year, and they both appear to be major improvements. I mean, they still want to play fast pace, man, and I think Panarin and Zibanejad are still going to be elite plays. We're just going to see who lines up. The person I'm going to kind of pivot to, because I think he's going to get a better line assignment early, is my sleeper, Capo Caco. Capo Caco. It's just fun to say. But like, yeah, I mean, he was the number 2 pick the year before. Like, he has a ton of talent. And I think like issues Laugh's going to run into is he hasn't. I mean, they didn't have preseason this season. I mean, we saw it in NFL, we saw it in the other sports. Like a lot of rookies didn't just come in right away and succeed, but after a couple of weeks of some game time, that's when we can expect them to grow. It's going to be tough to just be an NHL 1 caliber winger right away. So I kind of like playing early what I know, and so I'm just not going to play Laugh early.
And I know I've been bringing up defensemen a lot this during this stream here, but because we like to use them so much for cash games on DraftKings, I think it's important to bring up. Is Tony DeAngelo going to make this the leap this year as to a top line fantasy defender, or is he kind of where he is?
I think he is a benefit of the system. I'm not sure how great he really is. In this offense, he'll put up points because his forwards are just phenomenal, and they like to score.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if he is elite if he goes to another spot offensively.
So is he more of a guy you're going to look for in GPPs rather than a cash game play?
I mean, it's price dependent, but sure, yeah, he's
fair enough.
I mean, they don't block a ton of shots. I mean, I don't pay up a lot at defensemen in cash personally. I look for guys who are going to get ice time, have good line assignments, and that's generally where I go. And if I can get it as cheap, because I want scorers when I'm playing DK cash.
Yeah. So. Looking for those hidden sabs. You got to find those low price guys who are going to get you that block bonus and that shot bonus. I love finding those hidden sabs on defense.
That's my day.
Cash. But there is something too about spending up. Maybe I kind of go both ways with the defenseman strategy. But I digress. Moving on to Philadelphia. I mean, it's the same old names every single year. Like you look at the list of the players on Philly, it's like, who's changed on Philly? What's going on in Philly?
Man, same as last year. Like, I mean, I looked at it like I'm Boston. Pittsburgh made an addition. Like, there's nothing really, exciting about it. But Philly actually, I think, does have a change though. Like the days of Jacob Voracek being the leaders of this team, they have changed. Like it looks like Sean Couturier, Travis Concini, and to a lesser extent Kevin Hayes are about to take the mantle of being the leaders on the Flyers and the top scorers. Couturier, they're actually on tomorrow night slate. They're playing Pittsburgh at home, which we'll get to Carter Hart in a second about that. But Couturier and Concini look to be on the top line tomorrow night, which is what I want to see. They're going to be paired with Oscar Lindblom, who is incredibly talented, was playing really well, and then he got diagnosed with cancer last season. And they are super cheap tomorrow night. And
yeah, they are. 2,700 for Lindblom and 44 for Travis K. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean they could either one of those could easily fit in your cash game lineups. They look to be on the power play as well. Defense has some holes, but Provorov looks to be the first defenseman, but it's kind of like a rolling door. It seemed like with all that a rotating door. It seemed like it was just tough to kind of pin who they can change who's on the line one or line two defensive pair any day. So we'll see. Carter Hart, though, we got into this last season. Carter Hart I didn't realize it, but I just dug one day and man, like home and away splits were pretty significant for Carter Hart last year. He was averaging like 3.6 goals on the road, but somehow it was like right at 2.0 and goals allowed a game. And but it was consistent, and we started playing it cheap, and then the price kind of got out. So like Carter Hart became a must play at home. Tomorrow night against Pittsburgh, 7,600. It's a good price. Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh, but I mean, the difference between a goalie having a good score and a great score isn't really that much. It's one goal basically. And it's just
if Pittsburgh, being an aggressive team, I mean, you got that save bonus. If they can get up there in shots, he's got an opportunity that save bonus, which at 35 or more saves on DraftKings, that's a nice little bonus for you.
Yeah, I can't target a win. I think the win's overvalued when people do goalie analysis. I mean, it's nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I can predict volume. I can kind of predict a win.
I love volume against. That's why I loved using goalies against Carolina. I mean, they scored a lot. I mean, they shot a lot. They didn't score a ton. I mean, that's way more important than a win to me, I think, because it's that volume. I agree with you completely.
100%. Yeah, it's all volume. I mean, if I'm stacking Carolina just in general, I will have the opposite goalie in another lineup no matter what. Like, I don't care.
Got Sean, we haven't heard from you in a while. Anything to add for tomorrow's game? You can talk about Philly or Pitt in this case. Give you a chance to jump back in on this.
I think you have to let him in.
Oh, is Sean not here? Uh-oh. This is where me not being able to see the chat box is a problem. Hold on, team.
Oh, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, you have to let him back
there it
in.
Is. See any of that? I was too busy running the thing. There we go. Hey, Sean.
Hey, there he is.
Welcome back. Oh.
No, I won't
Are we
take
there
that
now,
personally.
Sean? Dude, I can't see. I can't see our streaming service. All I can see is because I went full screen on my Google slide. That's all I can see. Come on, professional live stream in the DFS industry, please. I was asking, is there anyone from this Philly Pittsburgh game that interests you tomorrow night in fantasy that we should be looking at?
I love Philly tomorrow. Actually, nobody's gonna play them because they're playing Pittsburgh. And
which is crazy because they're the favorites in the game. They're the betting favorites.
And Hook touched on it. Couture, Konechny, and Lindblom. This is sort of their team. I mean, Lindblom's $2,700. The guy's coming back from cancer. Like, this is a great story here. Like, I mean,
yeah, narrative, man.
Yeah, if you believe in narrative.
Oh my God, this is going to be. I feel it sucks. There's no fans, man. There should be fans for it, right? Let him come skating out and stuff. But $2,700 for a first line winger. Hello, are you kidding me? Come on.
On a good first line too.
Like Philadelphia is horribly mispriced tomorrow night. Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh, right? The usual suspects. Tristan Jarry doesn't really concern me at all. I'm not worried about Tristan Jarry. I mean, I will happily. I'm going to definitely run some Philly stacks, and you're going to see them in the cash. There's going to be some guys in the cash pool. Provorov is too cheap at $4,900. There's no way he's $4,900 in 2 or 3 games from now. He'll be up over 5 in a hurry. So this is DK again, right? Horribly mispriced guys everywhere. But Lindblom at $2,700. My God, first line winger, right? And Provorov $4,900, and he does everything. Like he's like we won't have to spend up at defense tomorrow for cash because all these guys are mispriced, right?
Yeah,
you go Hughes,
Konechny at 44 is too cheap,
and Hedman, right? Like it's just, I mean, DK did get some, like Hedman, like Hedman $6,200. Like really? I mean, we'll get to him later, but I mean, yeah, no. Love Philly tomorrow. You'll see them in the GPP stacks section of the article that will be out later tonight or first thing in the morning for Bankster members.
Yeah, and you get Carter Hart at home. How do you not start your season that way?
I will be 100% Carter Hart tomorrow. I will probably most likely be 100% Carter Hart tomorrow.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
nice way to start the season.
At home, I played Carter Hart. If Carter Hart was home, I didn't locked first player in, done. Fill my lineup.
Is he going to see volume? And if he less than 8,000, I'm in.
Now their opponents tomorrow, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who are we looking at this year for the Penguins? Hook.
Penguins. Same old story as usual. I mean, same lines. I kind of was just looking at the lines here to see how they put them out. Like just because you're getting exposure to. They look healthy to start the season. Last year, all of them going to score goals. Pittsburgh is a good team. But right now, Evan Rodriguez is going to be paired with, it looks like, Sidney Crosby and Jake Gunsel tomorrow night on the first line. And another, $2,900 first line center or wing, and you're playing with Sidney, which there we go. I mean, that's always something we want to look for when we look for value. Crosby put up 47 points in 41 games last season. I mean, Malkin 74-55, Rust 55 or 56 and 55 games. Man, they score. They're a good team.
What about Zuckermania? Is it going to be running wild this year? Because he came on kind of strong at the end of last year, or is he going to be pushed down the lines this year?
He's actually right now. They have him paired with on the second unit with Malkin and Rust, and I love that. I mean, that's great for them. John Marino. Yeah, that's probably the cheapest exposure I can get with Pittsburgh if I want any tomorrow. I think Philly wins tomorrow night's game. Philly's good at home. They play defense. They're good. But and those games are always weird. Like it's going to either be like 2-1 or like 4-3, just some crazy game. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean it's the same old story. Marino though is a nice cheap defenseman for GPPs. Pair him with the second line. He'll probably get some power play time tonight. He was a rookie last year. They also, I was hoping the new addition, Kasperi Kapanen, I was hoping he'd get the spot. I think he's still on quarantine for a day or two, for a couple more days because he just got in the country over the weekend and he has to do a 7-day quarantine by NHL rules, which I'm still trying to kind of wrap my head around what every protocol is and whatnot and how that affects it. But I think he's going to move up to the line one with Crosby and when all this is said and done. So I think right now, I think Zucker, Rust, and Malkin would be the way I go if I'm looking to kind of pivot off Philly or if I wanted to play Philly tomorrow night. And you probably will get really power play exposure because that's another one of those things where like both lines overlap. Letang is generally a staple, but I don't see me having to pay up for Chris Letang tomorrow when I'd rather just probably get up to Hedman if I want to pay up at defenseman in those lineups.
Yeah, he's actually priced well.
Yeah, I think they did a good job pricing the top end talent. The as a whole, DK did, like McKinnon's, McDavid's, all the studs, but like the low and middle tiers are just brutal. How some like there's no reason Lindholm should be 2,700. Yeah, I mean, Zucker would probably be the cheap piece I wanted from Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Now moving on to the team that defeated my Vegas Golden Knights a few years ago for the Stanley Cup. Very, very hurtful. Still hate them for it. Washington Capitals. It's the Ovi show, but there's a young gun coming up a little bit who you wrote up and seemed to like this year. Let's talk about Washington a little bit.
Okay, so the new coach wants them to play. Washington gave up a lot of goals and scored a lot of goals last season. They wanted to. Their goal is they want to play more in the offensive zone and they want to play up-tempo hockey, which bringing in 49 to 50-year-olds Zdeno Chara probably isn't going to benefit them that much with that. I think he's probably just there to go beat somebody up once in a while. But you look, I mean, it's always Ovi shoots. He doesn't pass. I mean, that's their goal. Like line one, their centers really don't score goals. They just pass, like Kuznetsov, Backstrom. So you want to find the wingers who can score. Jacob Verana had a really nice season last year. I mean, the Ovi Knights, I think it was you play Washington 1 at home, Washington 2 on the road was the goal last year. And if Verana on line 2 with Oshie, and I think he'll get Kuznetsov, really could jump this year. I mean, 52 points is nothing to I mean, that's tough. And they only played about 68 games, I think. That's good. He likes to shoot as well. And that team just really funnels to wingers, and wingers shoot for them.
I'm really interested. I'm interested to see how they price Verana to start the year because he was a real good value at the end of last year, and I'm wondering if like they have done with a lot of these players, if he will be priced down to start the season. Nice thing to look at when they do find their way onto the slate. I believe that would be on Thursday.
Yeah, I think.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead. I was going to do the East next, but then I would like for Hook, or sorry, not the East, the Central next. But I would sure love for Hook to take a break for a second and breathe. And we'll come back to him for the Central to finish this off. So, Shawnee, bringing you back in, buddy. Going to hit up this Western Conference. I'm just looking at, some super offensive powerhouses in this division between Anaheim and Los Angeles. So, can't wait to hear about those offensive juggernauts. But no, this should be a fun division. Speaking of those Ducks, the Corey Perryless Ducks, who are we looking at this year for Anaheim? Who's going to be fantasy worthy?
Not much.
Yeah, I think so.
Not much. It's for Anaheim. It's going to be what are the kids going to do? So Trevor Zegras, who beat my Canada. And that kid was ridiculous in the gold medal game. That kid is legit. He's going to be a good one. How they handle him, I'm not sure if he's going to get in right away or what are they going to do with him. For Anaheim last year, we used John Gibson in GPP because he's going to face a ton of shots and he's top 5 goal in the league. He just wore down. We couldn't play him anymore because he faced so many shots that he just basically he became unplayable. In terms of, I mean, I really like Sam Steele, Troy Terry. I'm a big fan of them. Those are the kids that I'm going to be looking at, depending on where they end up in the lineup and how they go. It all depends on, are they going to get bumped up? I mean, Getzlaff, I have no interest in Getzlaff. Adam Henrique and Cam Fowler, made them into some cash lines. Their defense isn't awful, like Manson, Lindholm. I mean, they brought in Shattenkirk, so he's now going to be in the top power play. So that kind of kills Cam Fowler. But I mean, Anaheim was bad, right? Like it
just seems like Anaheim would have been good if this was 2014, 2015, not 2021.
Yeah, I mean, Anaheim, basically what happened with Anaheim is they rode their, they built a big, tough team, and they rode that for a number of years, and then the NHL changed. Now the NHL is a fast league, and Anaheim is very, very slow, and it's caught up to them, and it's showing. So I make like Max Comtois is another kid. The kids is what I'm looking at here, because I definitely want to use some Ducks if I can, the late game hammers and stuff like that. Nobody will be using them. Everybody will be against them. But they just really honestly will be stacking against Anaheim most of the year.
Is Anaheim a team that we're going to probably pass on early in the season? I know you said you want to use them for late game hammers and for some of the kids, but is this a team we want to see what the ice time is going to look like more than almost any other in the league before we dive too deep into Anaheim stacks? Like, I get if it's a 3-game slate, you got to play them, but if you're talking like a 6 or higher game slate, are we just going to pass on Anaheim early in the season?
Basically, unless they're horribly mispriced, like some of the other guys. If they're horribly mispriced, then I'll look that way. But it'll be a wait and see for me. And I would imagine we won't be using too many ducks. Like I said, other than the kids. If the kids get bumped up the lineup and start getting ice time, then I'm going to start having interest. Beyond that, it'll be mostly a pass. Except for John Gibson and GPPs. We'll use John Gibson at the beginning of the year, like we always do when he's fresh.
Yep.
Right? Price down. No, everyone, he'll be low owned, and he's a prototypical 35 save goalie that we talk about. He'll lose the game 4-3 or 4-1, but he's going to get us our 15 or 20 points or whatever it works out to. Give up a couple goals and call it a day.
Moving on to Arizona. Who are we liking on Arizona? They're a team that seems fun to watch and kind of plucky, but like, I feel like we always just go right to their defenders and stay away from their offense as much. Is that where we're at this year, or is there some offensive players we can look at now this year?
No, so Arizona has. So I mean, they unfortunately traded for Phil Kessel on the downside. Phil Kessel is basically sort of on the wrong side of the hot dog, so to speak, for those in the know. But they actually have some very nice pieces. Connor Garland is a player I really love. Used him a lot last year. I'm expecting him to maybe make a jump. He had 22 goals, 40 points. Him and Schmaltz are definitely on my radar. Barrett Hayton is another kid. He's the rookie. He's a young kid from Canada. He's a stud. He should be moving his way up in the lineup in no time. Jacob Chikrin, that's the other one we use on defense. He'll be on the radar as well. Arizona is going to be we used Arizona last year at no ownership, and I expect it to happen again, which is perfect for us. Now it'll be sort of matchup specific. Like, I won't go out of my way to use Arizona against Vegas or Arizona against Colorado or St. Louis, but against like San Jose, LA, Anaheim, I think we can get some sneaky stacks in there for sure. GPP, and then in cash, Chikrin, Garland, same thing with pricing, especially early on. We'll see how it plays
out. Team that's on the slate tomorrow night, the Avs on the slate, and we all know Nathan McKinnon, we all know Cale Makar, but what about and obviously Rantanen and Landeskog, that whole first line is just filthy. But where else are we looking at a team? Like, I see the name Devin Taves, and I'm like, that kid is pretty decent as an offensive defenseman. When he was in New York, is this a team that he can thrive on, or is there anyone else I should be looking at for this team? Brandon Saad. I mean, who are we looking at from this team that can make an impact?
Everywhere. I mean, this team,
right?
This team is loaded. They are definitely a cup favorite for sure. If they're goaltending, I mean, it's the goaltending for them. If they get the goaltending, they're going to go a long way. Devin Taves.
Who's going to be on that second line? Who's going to be on the second line? I mean, is it going to be Burakovsky, Kadri, and like who's going to, right? Because that ice time is going to matter, and we know there's a lot of players. Who's going to be on that second line that we should be looking at? Is it going to be Saad? I mean, who are we going to see there?
I think when it's all said and done, I think Saad's going to be the third line center. I expect him to slot in there. I think it'll be Kadri, Landeskog, maybe Donskoy, Nutrishkin, probably, it'll be Burakovsky, whenever Colorado, maybe, they want to roll the big boys out. I actually hope they do that. I hope Colorado does the big boy line a lot, Landeskog and McKinnon, because I will be all over the Kadri Burakovsky combo. Burakovsky was sneaky last year. Nobody played him. He popped. He hit 20 goals last year. But Colorado is just a crazy deep team. Devin Taves is a great trade for them. He's $4,600. Everyone loves Cale Makar, rightfully so. Cale Makar is like dynamic player. We can basically use use 5 defensemen comfortably on Colorado. Taves, Graves, Girard, Ian Cole. They will get you blocked shots. They will shoot. Gerard is a very underrated defenseman. He shoots and blocks shots. He can skate like the wind. Like this whole team can skate like the wind. Like when Colorado plays LA or San Jose, you need to watch these games because it's just not fair. Like they just skate rings around these guys, and it's just unreal to watch. We'll be all over Colorado. Colorado's going to be. You'll see Avalanche in the cash pool tomorrow night. You're going to see them in a GPP section tomorrow night. And part of it because they're playing the Blues.
Yeah. So
people are going to be like, well, no, it's the Blues. The Blues are good, and the Blues are good, but they're not great. You're telling me I'm going to get McKinnon as the 4th or 5th highest owned center tomorrow, or maybe lower because they're playing the Blues. Yeah, I'll be all over that. Thank you very much. I will happily.
You mentioned that we're going to look at Colorado taking on when they go into LA, which is just one of the least interesting teams in the league to me. They're like Montreal, Anaheim. They're just teams that I have no interest in looking at. Am I wrong? Are there players on this team worth playing, or is this another one of those click and move kind of teams?
They're a click and move. I follow Adrian Kempe or some interesting pieces. Doughty, Kopitar, Dustin Brown. They're done. Quentin Byfield obviously is going to be the sort of the wild card here. I have interest in him depending on where he might slot in or what they're going to do with him.
Who is Quentin Byfield? Tell us a little bit about him because that's a new name to me.
So Quentin Byfield is basically Jerome McGinley 2.0.
Oh, okay. Where is he? Is he a young kid? He's
a center.
He's the minors, or was he just drafted this year? Or is he just coming up from the minors?
He was number 2 overall to LA.
Okay.
He is a big boy. He can skate. He'll be a center. So I'm expecting he's going to slot in behind Kopitar at some point, but he can score. He can hit. He skates well. When you say Jerome McGinley,
that's pretty high expectations.
That's what I see there. That's what I see from him. Kid that can score, can hit and fight. Right.
Who's a guy that are we going to want to target him instead of Laugh this year early in the season? Will the production be similar yet the ownership be lower? Is that kind of what I'm thinking with this kid? Will he get an opportunity to play right away and be impactful?
This is the $1 million question. I don't know what LA is going to do with him. I don't know if they're going to give him a 6-game tryout and then send him back because LA is going to get just smashed this year. So maybe they don't want him around a losing environment. He can go back down to junior and dominate and for another year. He'll get in at least 6 games with the new rules. So it used to be 10 games. Rookies can play 10 games before they burn the first year of their deal. Now it's 6 because of the shortened season. So I expect he'll get in at least 6, and then I guess they'll see how it goes. Laugh is going to play in New York all year long. It's just New York is loaded. Like Byfield will get a chance in LA. Laugh's going to be on the 3rd line, at least to start until he forces his way up. But I mean, it's going to be hard for him to crack the top 6 in his first year. So Lafreniere is going to be, Lafreniere is the popular play, and people will play the name.
But Byfield might be the better player for fantasy.
Nobody will play Byfield. I mean, if Byfield's going to slot in as a 2nd-line center, so opportunity-wise, we're going to run Byfield, right? I got like Hook says, I'm not playing Laugh opening night when the Rangers start. He won't be in my lineups.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Moving on to LA. Is there more? Did I miss something else from LA? I'm sorry. I was ready to move to Minnesota. I'm so excited.
No, LA's no.
LA's done. All right, Minnesota. Who do we like on Minnesota? What's going on in Minnesota? It looks like they added quite a few players this year. Is that going to make them fantasy viable, or because I know Fiala was the guy that we were all over last year. Is there anyone else that we're going to be looking at this year?
Marco Rossi would have been a player we would have been all over, but the kid got hurt and he's going to be out for a while, which is just a bad break for him. He was basically going to slot right into that first line because down the middle, Minnesota is horrific. As it stands now, I think Nick Bukestad or Marcus Johansson might be their top line center. Like it's awful down the middle in Minnesota. But
now on the new players list, I see Andrew Hammond. Is that? I mean, that's the Hamburglar. Like we're talking the goalie Hamburglar from like 6-7 years ago. Like that Hammond, right?
That's the guy. Yes, sir. Yeah.
And Cam Talbot. Those are your top goalies for the team, or
Capo Kakkonen, Capo Kahokonen. I'd probably
Okay.
butcher that. Will probably Hammond will be, the AHL tax. NHL teams are required to carry 3 goalies this year because of the COVID and everything. So Hammond will be the
Gotcha.
tax squad guy. If you see Hammond's going to start, they could be playing the New Jersey Devils, and I would be stacking the New Jersey Devils. So if that ever happens, all in on whoever they're playing.
I feel like with the goalie trio in general, it looks like we're going to be stacking against Minnesota fairly regularly this year, or is that?
Oh yeah,
am I off a little bit there? Okay,
Absolutely.
this will not be a good hockey team.
No, so Ryan Suter just keeps getting it done. But he's 36. I mean, at some point you got to figure he's going to slow down. Dumba had a bad year last year. Spurgeon, I played Spurgeon a lot. I did a lot of the Spurgeon Fiala combo, especially, I ran them in cash as well. The player that is going to be sneaky that we can jump on early, and I'm probably going to butcher this kid's name. Is how do I say it? Krizil Kaprasov.
Kaprizov sounds good. Yeah,
That sound right?
that works.
He's a Calder. He's actually a Calder contender. This kid's legit. And I'm definitely going to have interest in him. I expect he's going to get power play one time just for the lack of options on Minnesota. So, you could run him, as a one-off, or him and Fiala, or him, Fiala, and Spurgeon, something along those lines, especially early on. Same thing, Minnesota, nobody's playing Minnesota, right? Fiala will be known, right? But
kind of as a side thought here, I know you said if New Jersey was playing them, you'd stack them, which they can't because they're only playing in this division. Is this going to be the lowest scoring division in hockey? I mean, I see the Knights, I see Colorado, and I see a lot of bad hockey teams. Is this going to be a low scoring conference between those two, other than those two teams? And is it going to be kind of a runaway between Vegas and Colorado? Not that we worry about wins and losses too much in fantasy, but just from a general standpoint, is it going to be bad hockey?
Yeah, Vegas and Colorado will battle for the title for first place. St. Louis will be in there, and then the rest of it is just a shit show. We'll be using a lot of St. Louis, a lot of Colorado, a lot of Vegas this year, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they're just bad offenses. It seems like those goalies would be the goalies to target. So maybe
Bennington, yeah.
And we're speaking of St. Louis. We got Binnington is still in goal, still in net, right? He should still be the top goalie. Who else do we like? And St. Louis is another team that just they keep getting it done, right? They won the cup a couple years back. They get it done, but they're not the most exciting team in hockey. I mean, David Perron seems pretty good offensively. He seems to have fitted nicely with the team, but this is just not the most fun team to watch, is it?
No, they play an old style rough, tough hockey, right? That's whatever. But I love the Blues this year. I played a ton, and in part, so did Bankster members, if they listen to me, of Schwartz and Shen and Pietrangelo last year. I love the 3-man stack. They were always under the radar, and they always just seemed to get it done. They would get the shot bonus. They would pop a couple. Their power play was 3rd overall, I think it was last year. Let me bring that up. Their power play was, where is it? 3rd overall. Yeah, 3rd. Look at that. Remembered. Their power play is legit, and it'll be again. But they brought in Mike Hoffman, right? So tomorrow night, we got Robert Thomas at min price at $3K, and we got Mike Hoffman at $3,200 going up against Colorado. So I'm actually liking the Colorado Blues as a possible game stack because pricing is horrific. Mike Hoffman is going to be a 5K player in no time. The guy is a scorer, and Robert Thomas is going to be he's finally going to get a shot now, and he's going to be a second line center. He's going to be close to 5K. So tomorrow night, you'll see this in the GPP section of the article for tomorrow. Is Thomas? I'm going to have a Thomas Schwartz Hoffman stack is one of my favorite value stacks.
Who gets hurt most by Hoffman coming in? Is it Sammy Blaze or is it Zach Sanford? Because those are both guys we've used as sleeper punt type plays. Are either of those guys going to be worth it this year, or is Hoffman going to take a lot of ice time from those guys?
Oh, no, Hoffman is definitely going to be. Hoffman is definitely. They signed him for a reason. The only reason Hoffman is made it as a 1-year deal is because of the off ice issues, right? His wife is just they're batshit crazy. The stuff that went down in Ottawa was just horrific. I mean, he scored 32 goals last year, and he's $3,200 playing, and he's going to play the power play. Like, it's just like I'm going to jump all over him early. He'll be 5K in no time because he's a goal scorer. All he's ever done is score goals everywhere he goes. This is one of the most horrific price mistakes for DK tomorrow. He should, like I said, $3,200 and Thomas at 3K. They're lead values tomorrow on the slate.
Hook, it's been a while since I've heard your voice. Anything from this Colorado St. Louis game that we should be looking at that we haven't touched upon?
You got to bring Hook back in.
Oh my goodness, everyone keeps leaving and I keep losing them all. Hook's probably like screaming at me.
The power on my laptop actually died. That's how I got booted.
This is what happens when I can't get on there. Oh, there it is. I'm back whenever. There he is. I didn't really left.
Oh yeah, no.
Again, this is what happens. See this again. See the chat. All I can see shell screen, and so I can't let you in. So Hook, what we were saying is there anything from this Colorado St. Louis game for tomorrow night that you see that we haven't touched on yet?
I think maybe. I mean, I think again it kind of depends what I think. Bennington's interesting, just because I think he'll love Mac. I mean, dude, it's a guaranteed 5 shots. I mean, he just look at his points compared to the rest of his team. I saw it up there earlier. And I love McKinnon just as a whole. I think McCarr takes a big step.
Oh, let me write this down. Play Nathan McKinnon. Okay. I'll put that down. Leave it on a sticky note for the rest of the season.
Start Mac. Let's go. Got
it.
Colorado's interesting. I honestly think just because this is the late game, I think I'm just going to be more on the Edmonton Vancouver game. I think it's just a more scoring friendly environment. I think both these teams defend really well. But also when you watch teams like they play in the playoff, like defense is way more important than it is in the regular season. They just play more physical.
Sure.
But I love stacking St. Louis 1 or 2. I do. I generally, again, just back to it, I like to take the shooters in cash, which generally are Schwartz, Perrin, Shin. O'Reilly, I really play in cash unless he's super cheap. I just don't like targeting assist when I'm playing a cash lineup on DK. It's not my style. And Perioko, I think, is going to have a massive year running that. Is that who you got right now, Sean, running the point there?
I figure Krug. I think they usually Krug's there too, right? So.
Oh yeah, I forget that always.
I think Krug's going to be I think Krug's going to run PP1, and Parayko and Dunn are going to be on the second. Right now, I got Hoffman with O'Reilly, Perron, Shen, and Krug on the top. Thomas, Schwartz, and Parayko are on 2. That, from what I've seen, like we've said, take it with a grain of salt at this point.
Yeah.
Until we actually get into some games. I mean, hopefully the information we get tomorrow is going to be accurate, but Krug looks to be. And I mean, they brought Krug in, so I'm assuming Krug's going to get first. And Krug's a power play guy, right? So I expect Krug's going to be on PP1.
Moving on to the San Jose Sharks. I'll say I love Evander Kane. I just love the volume that he always has. I've never not liked Kane. This is just a team that looks like they're going to just put up volume. Whether they score is a different thing. Kane, Burns, Carlson, those are volume type players that should get you close to those shot bonuses. What else do we like on this team? Sean, is there a lot to like on San Jose? I feel like there's not much else to like on San Jose.
I mean, it's the usual suspects, right? Timo Meier, Hertl, LeBank's going to be in the top line. Couture. I mean, Burns, Carlson, right? That's right. You're not playing Marleau or these other guys. Like, their bottom 6 is not great. Ryan Donato came in.
We're still waiting for that Ryan Donato breakout, right? Like, we're still waiting on that, right?
Yeah, so is San Jose will be his what now? 13, 14?
Yeah, 13? Right. He was Boston, he was Minnesota, right? And we were waiting for the Donato breakout, and it never came.
So I mean, Kane is definitely the volume guy. I mean, it just came out that he filed for bankruptcy. Like, apparently he's in a bad spot personally. I don't know if that's going to affect him on the ice. I mean, it sort of can't. I mean, but we'll see. Check his pricing and stuff like that. I mean, he's going to shoot. Brett Burns, The guy shoots from everywhere. I mean, if you just watch the San Jose game, I mean, that guy gets the puck and he's firing it from, it doesn't even matter. He's floating it in there. Like he must have a shot bonus in his contract or something. I don't know, shot attempt. The guy shoots a ton. So he's always on the radar. Carlson.
Are there 5 forwards? Are there 5 forwards you'd rather use in cash above a guy like Brent Burns? I mean, he just seems like the highest floor player you can get in fantasy.
He's basically a lock for your shot bonus, right? He's basically going to get a shot bonus every night. Like you can just about lock that in. I mean, he's going to take 10 shots a game. Like it's just nuts, right? Like San Jose when you know when they're going to be playing Anaheim and LA and Minnesota and stuff like that, right? We can look towards maybe doing some stacks and stuff. I'll be a wait and see on that, except for probably Burns, Kane, and Carlson, depending on pricing. Burns is obviously the preference. Carlson has to show me that he's back from his injury.
Yeah.
He's last year and a bit, with the groin and everything else. If he's back up to close to 100%, then he'll be, Burns and Carlson will be 7K in no time, right?
Being a Knights fan, I hate Burns, but I respect him as a fantasy player. And speaking of my Knights, so see your Alex Tuch becomes the thing. Is he ready? Because boy, he looked really good in the playoffs last year. He looked real strong, highly aggressive, which is something that we've been calling for years, for the last couple of years from Tuch. Looked like he finally is starting to put it together. Between him and Shea Theodore, you've got some high volume, tough, aggressive type players. If Tuch can continue with that aggression, is he a guy to look at this year, or are we sticking with Carlson, Patches, Stone, Riley Smith?
Vegas is another team, 3 lines deep that you can look at, guys. They're loaded. Chandler Stevenson, right now could be looking at second line center between Pacioretty and Stone. Which if that's the case, hello neighbor, value your play of the slate.
So he's not going to be priced up. He's going to be under 4K.
Oh my God, he'll probably be under 3K. Right, or he'll be 3K or $3,200 or whatever it is. I mean, if Hoffman and these horrific pricing errors, right? Vegas is Vegas. I mean, we're going to use Vegas a ton. Mark Stone was a cash staple. Pacioretty was a cash staple. Theodore's a cash staple. Petrangelo's there now, right? So I mean, it's Carlson and Smith. Like I said, they run 3 deep. Nicholas Roy, just another kid that I liked. Tanner Glass. Yeah, I mean, you can go 3 lines deep on these guys. You can go 4D. I mean, Braden McNabb blocks everything. You need a close to min price D. McNabb, there's the shot block bonus for 10 points.
Keep an eye on Zach Whitecloud too. He really came on in the playoffs and was really strong defensively.
Yeah, like it's Vegas is another Vegas. If you want to watch fun hockey. Every time Vegas and Colorado, I mean, and we get to see these guys play 9 times, right? Vegas and Colorado is going to be some outstanding hockey this year. That's must-see hockey for all hockey fans. Figure out how to get it. Get your I don't know what you guys got down there, but get your NHL package and stuff. And that's circle the calendar type stuff. Those games are going to be unreal.
Boy, it's nice to be in town when I can just get all the games locally.
Yeah, I love, Doug, how you said we've been waiting for Tuch to explode for years. I'm like, dude, you've had a team for 3 years and went to the Stanley Cup in year 1. Stop.
Hey, listen,
I got John here wearing a Maple Leaf shirt.
I don't know what it's like for my team not to make the playoffs. I've never seen that happen. And Tuch's been, for 2 years he's been on the team, and he hasn't shown that aggressive. Tuch reminds me. Not that we're going to get too far into sidebar, but I haven't talked too much hockey on this. But Tuch, I've let you guys do a lot of it. Tuch reminds me of Eric Lindros. Like I watched Tuch play, and it's size-wise, not the aggression. If he could pull Eric Lindros's aggression, he would be a really good player. But the difference between why Lindros was so good and why Tuch hasn't gotten there yet is they're similar size. And Tuch's got puck handling ability like Lindros had, but Lindros, man, if you got in his way, he just ran your ass over. And Tuch doesn't do that yet. I mean, if he finds that part of his game, just you watch. That part was sponsored by my father and 2 years of hearing about what Alex Tuch can do. All right, finishing up with this division.
Yeah,
Doug had his moment. What's that?
Yeah, I know. I love Alex Tuch.
I think he'll be okay. And if he's not priced up to start the year, I think he's a guy to look at. All right, Shawnee, you've done yeoman's work, my friend. 2 divisions, fantastic stuff. Obviously, stay with us because we're going to keep talking, but we're going to turn it over now to Hook to talk about the Central Division to round out the rest of the last division of our previews. And we've referenced Carolina a few times because of their level of aggression, because we love volume, and Carolina is a voluminous team. Are they going to be there this way? Are going to be that way this year again, Hook? Is this a team we're going to want to target for fantasy on both ends of the ice?
Absolutely. When they play a game, they will be on our radar in some regard. The first line of Aho, Teravinen, and Svechnikov, and then with Dougie Hamilton in the back end is one of the best in hockey. Aho and Svechnikov had career highs in points last season. I honestly think they'll get better this year. They made a really nice trade in about mid-season last year. They brought in Vincent Trocheck, and he looks like to be paired with Nino Niederreiter and Martin Nikas. Nikas is one of my favorite sleepers this season. He's young. He put up a few goals last year, and I think with the line mates, like he was playing in the bottom 6 for a good portion of it. I think he's going to really grow into this team, and I think they're going to have a really good 1-2 punch. Hey, man, they've never seen a shot they don't like. I mean, shot efficiency is a skill. Like there's certain teams like Carolina who will shoot it 35, 40 times with no problem. I mean, even if you give up 3 goals as a goalie from a DFS perspective and lose, you still got a really high floor and good points out of that. That's fine.
I always look at who's playing Carolina, and that's generally who my goalie is going to be. Even if I think Carolina is going to score, I want that volume, and no one puts up more volume than Carolina. And up until around mid-season last year, or maybe earlier than that, but specifically the season prior, their shot percentage was awful. So they were shooting a ton, but they weren't scoring as much. And that was like the perfect storm for DFS goalies, was just use your guys against Carolina.
Yeah, and I think just like DFS in general, that's kind of an area where people don't like. They look at a Vegas line and they go, "Oh, this team should score. They're favored to win, and it's project for 6 goals." But like, they don't look at actually like the skills of a player or a team, right? Like, so if a team doesn't shoot, I mean, if a team shoots 10%, like they're just not good shooting, but they shoot a lot. That's what we want. We want teams like Tampa Bay doesn't shoot a lot. I don't take goalies against them even in good spots because they don't shoot it 40 to 50 times a game, but they take really efficient shots when they do shoot. And
for me, goalie in fantasy is a lot like defense in football. People are, they're going to give up 35 points. Well, you know what? The Cleveland Browns gave up a lot of points this year, but they were really good fantasy defense because they forced turnovers, they got in the backfield, got sacks, and did the kinds of things that you need to do as a defense to score points in fantasy. It's kind of the same thing as a goalie. Yeah, they may give up some goals, they may give up a ton of shots, but those shots, every save is worth a lot of points, and that's where you get your points from the goalie. If you're looking for a shutout, like you're being foolish because you're just not going to get that many shutouts in the NHL. It's not like it used to be. There're just not a ton of those, and so you're really just trying to get that save bonus if you can. I mean, and if you pull out a win, great, a 6-5 win. You know, it sucks that you gave up 5, but if you had 40 saves in there, you're scoring points, and so that's something to think about when we look at goalies. It's one of the, and you know, we do the same thing in soccer. You know, Jeff Kaminsky with soccer does a lot of the same things. He's like, fill out the rest of your team, then go grab your goalie in soccer to get the guy who's going to face some shots. Same thing in hockey. I would rather get the skill position players than the goalie, and then I'm obviously not going to take a garbage goalie, but I'm going to find the goalie in the best spot to catch some volume and roll with it. Particularly in cash, I want that volume in cash. I might look for the win a little bit more in a GPP just because those extra points make all the difference in the world. But in cash, it's just volume.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, like when I'm looking at, I don't pay up for, like, I think tomorrow night the highest, I think it's Vaz versus Chicago, but Vasilevsky. And I just, unless he gets you the shutout and probably the win, like, I don't know if he pays off. Like, I'd rather have the extra 1,000 to go upgrade a mid-tier center to give me another elite goal scorer. Like, I don't think it's, that's just how I play the position. Now, I don't necessarily take the worst goalie. Like, there's situations where you go, this goalie gave up 5, but I look at like, okay, is this game winnable? All right. And like, do I expect like worst outcome, like 3 goals, right? Like, I mean, that's 2 to 3 goals. But if you give me the shot bonus, like I did enough, like shot bonus, that's the win. Like, so I'm good. And if I get the win, I'm winning GPP or it helps with the GPP.
Moving on here to Chicago. Over at Chicago, you're talking about goal scoring. You've got one of the premier goal scorers in the league, and Patrick Kane. He's surrounded by some talent. Who are we looking at for Chicago this year? I know they're not a great team. Who do we like?
I think we should skip to Columbus and talk about a good team. Man, Chicago I was excited about. They had a really huge playoff victory over Edmonton last season. They had a nice young pieces, but like they've already lost Jonathan Toews for what looks like to be most of the season with like an autoimmune or an immune issue. And then Kirby Dach got hurt in the juniors. And lead up to the junior world championship. And so like basically their line one center is going to be Dylan Strome. It looks like he's going to be paired with Kubalik and DeBrincat, which that's a pretty good O-line, but O-line, I've been doing too much football. But and they'll be able to score a little bit. The second line, though, will have Kane. I don't know who's going to be. It looks like Soderberg, who's not a very good center. Those two, losing Toews and Dach, like your 1-2 center, that's such a huge loss. And I just have trouble with them being able, like, there's going to be nights that we think they can score, but not a big fan. Like, I think, and honestly, the worst part about them is, so their goalies last year were Corey Crawford and then Robin Lerner got traded to Vegas midseason. And then they brought in Malcolm Subban, who had like a 3.36 goals allowed, which is awful. Anthony Delia is going to be their second goalie, it looks like. And he hasn't played since 18-19. And he had a 3.6 GEA or goals allowed average. And this defense is young. Duncan Key's still there, but he's done. Adam Boquist, though, if he gets promoted to the top line in the PowerPoint, like he has some game. Like this kid could grow. That's probably my favorite young player on the Hawks this season. And like tomorrow night, I kind of like him because he's 2,700. And if you're going to give me a power play one potential center on the first line, like I'm always going to be interested in that at mid price. Like or he's $2,700. Like that's 20 minutes of ice time. You can give me 3 block shots or a shot. I don't care. Like I feel like I'm in a good spot for that.
For sure. Sean, is there anyone on this game that you're looking at for tomorrow night for fantasy? I totally forgot they were on the slate. You've got some really well-priced guys. Dylan Strome at $3,100, and DeBrincat at $4,200. He did not have a good year last year. I'm kind of wondering what happened to DeBrincat, but $4,200. Even Kubalik at $49 is like the prices are really good here. Is there someone you're looking at that we can expect to see in the write-up tomorrow, Sean? Uh-oh. Do we lose Sean?
I don't know. He's there. I see him.
I muted him. That's why. I don't know if he unmuted himself. I got you now, Sean. We're good, buddy.
You hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Here we go.
What are we going to see from this team right up tomorrow? I'm sure Malcolm Subban will be your top goalie on the slate. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky won't be. I never play Vasilevsky ever. Because, like Hook says, I'm not paying $8,400 for a goalie that's going to give up 2 goals, right?
Yep.
So that's never happening. So, but Vasilevsky always seems to give up 2 or 3 goals without fail. It just always, and I played him once or twice, boom, 3 goals. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Kubalik at $4,900. It's 34 goals last year, 180 shots. Mispriced big time. On the defense, Adam Boquist for sure. I love Connor Murphy myself. I'm a big Connor Murphy guy. Duncan Keith's done. There's going to be, in this division, there's going to be chances to use Chicago against Florida, against Detroit, against Nashville. There will be times we can roll out Hawks. Kubalik and Connor Murphy are sort of my rate. Kane's Kane, right? He's always an option. $7,100 seems low actually for Kane. Everybody's going to be playing Tampa Bay tomorrow. They're going to be, they're probably going to be the most popular team. So you could in a GPP. And that monster GPP with 15,000 people, whatever it is, take a shot on a Kane, Kubalik, whoever's to be the power play one. The Murphy or Boquist. Whoever's going to be his quarterback in that power play is something I would have interest in, and that's what I'll look for as a possible leverage GPP stack. Just because Vasilevsky always seems to get 2-3 goals, but I'm not going out of my way to get exposure to Chicago tomorrow.
Chicago does have the talent to break the slate tomorrow. I mean, and the price is right to take a shot. I think that's a great point in a GPP with a lot of entries. Chicago's the kind of team that can absolutely break this slate if they have a game. They do kind of what the Cleveland Browns did to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where you kind of didn't see it coming. Big ups to the Browns, Sean. But that's the kind of thing. They come out and they put 3 goals in the first period on Vasilevsky. I mean, that's a slate breaking kind of a line that can and that has the talent to do it. It's any line that puts up 3 goals could quote unquote break a slate, but you're not playing like, you're not playing the Predators' 4th line, but the top line for Chicago, it's a pretty talented line, and so this is the type of slate breaking line that you could look at in a high end GPP
for sure.
Moving on to
one last
Columbus.
thing. I saw the question.
Sorry. I'm so excited to talk about the Blue Jackets.
Sorry, Matt asked about Kane and Cash. Man, I don't think we need to get there tomorrow. We got a few other offenses if there's enough value. I wouldn't play Kane and Cash. I think he's a nice one-off for GPP, but I mean, sure
you don't need to play Cash tomorrow.
What?
We don't need to play Kane and Cash tomorrow.
Yeah. He's a nice GP one-off. I don't know how the lines – I think that's kind of a situation you got to monitor too. I think lines could be shuffled easily in Chicago this year, which I like to preface before we go talk about torts and line shuffling. So, all right. Dougie, let's talk Columbus.
Well, actually, this was actually a great point to bring in. Speaking about the article for tomorrow and Cash and whatever for Matt and whoever, for anyone, all Bankster members, article's going to have a little different feel going forward this year. We are going to, just like we did with football, we're going to go much heavier with Cash looks. It's no longer called the one-time shot as it used to be. It's now called, what did I call it this year? The NHL Power Play? The NHL Power Play. And we're going to be looking at our stars, top players for Cash. We're going to build Cash core. So we're going to look at our Cash core. We're going to have a player pool right in the article now. And then the one-time shot will now be a section talking about GPP, but it's going to feel familiar for those of you who check the football article, who look at the Fire 4 for basketball. Real familiar article, Cash core, pool of players, a little bit of explanation. GPP, and then a lot of that talk for GPP plays or individual lineups will happen in that Slack chat, which again is all part of our membership, $3.99 a week. Now we can talk about the Blue Jackets.
All right, Blue Jackets. I love this team. I don't know how I feel about them DFS wise. I like. They're kind of a weird team. Well, they brought in Max Domi from Montreal, which looks like he's going to be on the second line with Cam Atkinson, which is a big improvement, I think. As
Great situation.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Atkinson had a down year last year, but I expect him to rebound. I think he's better than what he was. Dubois is a good he's not a guy I target really in cash games because he's just not a big shooter. Like Columbus is one of those kind of vintage teams, man. They're going to beat you up. They're willing to win games 2-1, and they're not afraid. I mean, they just don't play an up-tempo side offense. Generally, when I look at exposure for Columbus, I love Zach Werenski. I love to play Seth Jones. They've never seen a shot they're not afraid to fall in front of and take a block. Both their goalies, I mean, they probably have the best 1-2 punch young goalie tandem in Merzlikins and I can't say the other guy's name. What is it, Sean? Why am I blanking on this?
Elvis?
Well, Elvis. I love Elvis. Elvis is my favorite player. But, I mean, they have Corey Ossipo, and then they have a third guy, too, who's a top prospect as well. This team just doesn't give up.
Korpisalo, is he still there? Is he still on them is he still their other goalie?
Yeah, he's number 2.
We're riding the Korpisalo death train, man. That's a Bankster favorite right there. Hook, that was before you started with us. We used to ride the Korpisalo death train all the time. We loved running him out there, and he actually became
Kivlinkas, I think his name is
something like that. Yeah, he's good too. I mean, when they'll give up a lot of shots. We'll use goalies all the time. But a lot of their defenses, they don't give you like easy looks. So it's kind of like we take an approach where you're throwing it right at the goalie. And I mean, I love their defense. They're kind of a tough team to target offensively, if you know what I mean. If you think it's going to be a good offensive game, I just generally go with Jones or Werenski and hope to get exposure to the goals that way.
Moving on to a team that we will not be talking about for a while, but we do have a quick preview on them. It would be the Dallas Stars, currently dealing with COVID. I believe is it the 19th or the 17th? When's their first game? It's the 19th, right?
I think it's the 19th. Yeah.
So they're a week behind the rest of the league. Yikes. When they do finally take the ice, Who are we looking at? Is it time for some Raju love? I know it's Raju. I call him Raju Love. Is it time for some Raju Love, or where are we going with this team? I know their defensemen tend to be real fantasy friendly. What are we looking at for this team?
I'm actually looking for the two kids, Rup Heinz and Dennis Guryanov, to really take the next step. Like, man, they look fast. The first line pairing, I saw him with Jamie Benn, and I just was kind of like, there's no way his old ass can hang with these two. That's not going to work. Dallas will probably start off slow like they always do, and then the GM or the owner will yell at them through the press, and then they'll pick it up. But they do lose. Tyler Seguin's going to be out a while. He might even be out the entire regular season, which is really bad for them. But I love Miro Heiskanen. I like John Klingberg. They're two nice defensemen who like to shoot the puck. I think Heiskanen has a real shot at being a top 5 defenseman this season. They're a weird team though. I don't really target a lot of DFS because they're not a heavy volume team. Like, they don't shoot a ton, and it feels like I keep saying it, but I want volume, and they play a slow style of hockey, and I don't target teams like this very often, except unless they're cheap. Basically, unless they're cheap, and I think they can score.
Now, another team that I think could be fun this year, and a shout out to Troy Rapson, long-suffering Detroit fan, a member of Team Bankster. The Detroit Red Wings. Is this team going to be as fun as I think they could be this year?
I think they finished 5th in the 5th or 6th in the Central. I like Detroit this year. They brought in a bunch of old veterans. What?
They can score, right?
The first line can. The rest they brought a bunch of old guys who last year they were just starting a lot of like quadruple A. Sorry to use a baseball term, just depth pieces that don't have much, but their first line is real good. Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, and Tyler Bertuzzi. They're building this team around them. They brought in guys like Bobby Ryan, just kind of give them a veteran presence. Thomas Greiss is a huge upgrade over Jimmy Howard and net for them. And I think they're at the next step of the rebuild. Where they're trying to
history of the NHL. He's garbage and terrible. I can't stand Jimmy Howard.
Thank
goodness he's done. Hate him.
And then you see this 50 save game, and it just makes you mad.
Hate him even more. Makes me hate him anymore. What about Roenick? I love Philip Roenick. Like, he was really useful last year.
He was. 31 points, and he missed a lot of time too. He's going to be paired with most of the time he's going to get ice with their best goal scorers, Mantha, Larkin, and Bertuzzi. I think he's going to be cheapish, and especially in this division. Half these teams aren't. There's only about 2, maybe 3 teams that are really good at defense. Like, there's going to be a lot of goals scored in this division, and you're going to play these teams 8 times. Like Nashville, Florida, Dallas might have some questions based on injuries. Not 100% sure yet, but Carolina and Blackhawks can give up some goals. Like, they play up tempo too, and I think Detroit can sneak by some people, can scare some people this year. Or they'll win games.
Detroit 1 is going to win someone a GPP in the first 2 weeks of the season. I'm feeling that. I think this team is such a GPP friendly team that they should be cheap, fairly low owned, and I think they're going to score. I agree with you on that.
Stack team all year long. Game stack them.
You're going to stack Detroit
1 with whoever else, like Detroit 1 and Chicago. Detroit 1, Chicago 1. Detroit, like, game stack. Yeah. Game stack.
Yeah,
for sure.
They get Florida 8 times, man. That's not bad for Fantasy Outlook. That's not bad.
Speaking of Florida, they picked up. I also don't think they're a fantastic hockey team, but they did pick up a guy in Anthony Duclair, who I think should get more ice time with Florida than he's seen in the past, and he's a kid who's coming on, who had a nice season last year, is slowly developing. Is he gonna break out a little bit with Florida this year? Is he on the top line, first of all, and will he break out a little bit? Who else do we like on Florida on top of Duclair, if you do indeed like Duclair?
I do like Duclair. I think the problem with Florida, and I liked them better last season, was they had 2 real lines. This season, though, they lost Hoffman, Trocheck, and Dadonov off last year, which was their second line, which it makes it easier for teams just to target trying to shut down the Barkov, they're still a great line. And Duclair, if he skates with them, that's a really good line. But I just don't think Florida has the depth. There will be days we take Florida, Sean just said with Detroit, their game stack situation. Like, every game Florida plays, like, we are taking offensive pieces against them. We know defensemen. Sean, actually, I'll let you say it. What do we do with defensemen against Florida?
Stack them up. Stack them up. Oh.
We play a defenseman against Florida. I mean, they hemorrhage points. And now we learned today that Sergei Bobrovsky, who I'm so thrilled because I'll always see a matchup that he looks decent in and I play him. And it takes me about a week to realize, like, just don't play him the rest of the season because Bob will make me mad. He's out for a while, so it's great. Now I just know Florida's going to even be worse. So, yeah, man, we're going to look to – we're going to really look hard to stack against them. Most times they're out. I mean, we will.
When we say stack defenders, I mean, there are times last year when Sean and I would go out there and we talk about it and we would roll multiple defenders from the same team against Florida and it would work. I mean, you could put 2 defenders out there against them. I
wish we tracked it. Like, it was crazy how
I feel like there was a game we put all 3 defenders. We put 3 defenders against them and it worked out fine.
Oh, it was a Slack chat. Yep. There's defenseman against Florida, like 10 minutes into the slate. Yep, there it is. You know who it was? I used the Islanders. It was like Pulock, Taves, and like against Florida, and they all scored. Like, it was crazy.
It was. I remember we would always hit it, and there was like a few weeks straight where literally within 10 minutes, just like you're saying in Slack. Yep, there's that defenseman against Florida, and it would hit so fast, and you're like, well, that is a very nice floor for my cash lineup.
Yeah, and they're cheap. They're not priced differently. I mean, yeah, you just do it. Like, I mean, first line center. Yeah, you're on my team today. You know, it just makes it easier.
Moving on to Nashville Predators. Who do we like on the Nashville Predators? Obviously, we like Yossi. He's fantastic. But Ryan Ellis too. And let me tell you, we ran a lot of Josie Ellis stacks last year. That worked out really nicely most of the time. I like them a lot better than the forwards. Have the forwards improved? Are we looking at them this year, or is it defense?
Okay. Yeah, like, I think they are another big beneficiary of division realignment. Out are like St. Louis isn't in their division anymore. Minnesota's not in their division anymore. Winnipeg's not in their division anymore. Instead, they get, like, I mean, Detroit comes over, Florida comes over. That helps a lot. Arvidsson and Forsberg really disappointed last season, and I think that first line with those two, because they both like to shoot, I really think we could see a rebound out of them this season. Saros looks to take over in net, which is an upgrade over Rene. I mean, granted, when I say a guy is going to be the number one goalie, like, we're going to see more teams use 2 goalies this season than we ever do. Like, you're going to see more, I think, 64, 55, 45 splits in goaltending. A lot of teams are just running 2 goalies for the most part. And I think Nashville, Saros probably get about 60% because Rene's getting older. But yeah, I mean, the thing about Nashville is, like, they're always frustrating because they never seem to have just like the line that it's like, I'm on line 1 tonight. Oh, it's line 3 Nashville night. Okay, well, damn. But I think the Forsberg Arvidsson line is really the one to be on this year. But again, if I think Nashville's in a good spot, this is the exact team. I love taking Josie or Ellis, like, because if they score goals, great. I'll probably get exposure to them that way, and I get sabs with Josie and Ellis for sure.
That they sure do. They're Sab Kings.
I don't think there was a cash slate I didn't play Yossi last year, honestly, or Ellis. I had one of the 2 in every cash slate, I think, last year. And in TPP, I stacked them up together a lot.
It made write-ups a lot easier. Make sure to include them. You just leave them in the pool.
Yep.
Moving on to the.
Oh, I'm just like, my write-ups this year, I'm saving them because I know, like, okay, Nashville, they're going to play Detroit 8 times or Florida 8 times.
True.
I'm just going to save them and pace.
That's something to keep in mind, though, those of us listening and who will be following us this year. I mean, it's going to see a lot of similar plays and ideas because it's going to be a lot of similar matchups. It's going to be almost like playoff write-ups rather than regular season write-ups. I mean, we'll obviously make the changes as needed and modify as teams modify their playing time. But, it's going to be a lot of similar analysis. If teams play the way that they play, it's how it's going to be. Speaking of a team that's going to have to change how they play a little bit, Nikita Kucherov's not playing this year. How is Tampa Bay going to bounce back? Who benefits offensively from that? And we already know Sean has held us play Victor Hedman tomorrow because he's underpriced on DraftKings.
So Tampa Bay wins the Stanley Cup. They did it with their all-world center, Steven Stamkos, hurt. Now they lose their all-world winger, but they get to replace him with Steven Stamkos. So, I mean, like, they're fine. They might struggle a little early from the Stanley Cup hangover, but I still think, I mean, their first line, it'll be Braden Point, Stamkos, and Palat. They're elite. I was looking at pricing. Palat at 6,000 feels a little expensive. I was really shocked it didn't come in cheaper yesterday. I mean, Stamkos will probably be maybe a cash game stable for me tomorrow night. This team's still going to score. They're in a weak division. Yeah, I mean, I think I weirdly think Carolina is going to win the Central just because I think I always have I think there's always some kind of Stanley Cup hangover is kind of what I think. But Tampa Bay is going to be right in there for 2 or 3 seed out of that division.
This division actually is easiest to handicap. I think it's Carolina, Tampa Bay, Nashville, and Dallas. Or sorry, Columbus. Carolina, Columbus, and Tampa Bay, the top 3, and then probably Nashville, Dallas for the final playoff spot to battle it out.
Yeah, that's about right. I think Dallas is more up in the air than people think so.
Red Wings don't
for the year.
All year.
What?
Just
Detroit.
I'm messing around.
If Detroit gets into the playoffs, I'm gonna have to mute Troy. I'm gonna have to mute him in Slack or something like that. I don't know if I'm gonna. That's just gonna be unbearable.
We're gonna put him on every Friday night live stream with you.
Yeah. Well, we've been stacking against Detroit for the last 5 years, and so Troy's like, "Oh, I guess who are we stacking against today?"
Yeah, I know. I was nicer on Detroit than you, so I remember that. Troy remembers that.
Now, normally when we're on a live stream, I don't know if you guys know this. It's at least for the football live stream. Generally, what happens is when we want our signal to get off the air is we start talking about the Jets, the New York Jets. I'm not going to do that now with the Winnipeg Jets, but now that I've said Winnipeg Jets, I can wrap this up and feel good about things. Gentlemen, you guys did ridiculously good work on this. Listen, I know quite a bit about hockey. You guys put me to shame. You guys know so much about this league, and I feel so ready to attack the season. I hope those that were listening feel the same way. If you like what you heard, if you didn't like what you heard, you want to come yell at us, great. Come drop $3.99 a week at banksterdfs.com. Where you can get all the access to all of our content for every sport. You see it on the screen. We cover it. Also, there's tennis and probably other sports I forgot. We do sports cards collecting, sports betting. We cover everything. And it's still for that same $3.99 a week. You get articles, player pools, and really what I believe is the best Slack chat in the business. And that's where the real money is made. You come talk to us. You show us your lineups. We work through that. It's that shared knowledge that really helps, and that's where what really sets us apart. And we will spend the time to talk to you. We're in there all the time. First thing when I wake up, and I wake up at 5 a.m. West Coast, Slack is popping. I go to bed 11 o'clock West Coast, Slack is popping. There's always something going on in there. So make sure you check us out. $3.99 a week, banksterdfs.com. You can find us on YouTube. Just put in my name, Doug Shane. Like, share, subscribe. Click that notification icon so you know when new videos are coming and when we are going live. Gentlemen, wow, I didn't even do much of the talking, but I do teach all day, so my voice is kind of going too. I can't even imagine how you guys are going right now. I'm excited for the NHL season. There's a lot to talk about still. We've got cash game strategy, which Sean has a great article for that. We've got GPP strategies we can talk about. It's gonna be an amazing season. Puck drops tomorrow night, Wednesday. Early, not even tomorrow night. Tomorrow, 2:30 West Coast, 5:30 East Coast.
5:30, yeah.
It's exciting. Gentlemen, any last thoughts before we wrap this up and I go eat some dinner?
No, just this is just just scratching the surface of what we have for NHL this year. We have the bankroll tracker too. That will for Bankster members. We'll take you through the cash slates, cash strategy. We got you covered. Like we were saying, it's 116 straight nights of NHL hockey starting tomorrow. So this is like my Christmas Eve. This is Christmas Eve for me.
It's ridiculous. I will have to say Topher dropped in. Topher's one of our former writers, longtime members, a good friend of the team. I did tell him to pop in his ideas, and I couldn't see a chat. He loves Carey Price tomorrow because people are going to play Toronto. So good for GPPs. And he is confirming that Hoglander is super legit. So I wasn't able to get into the chat box before, so I want to throw that out there. Hook, any final thoughts before I say goodbye?
Yeah, guys, I'll be in chat. I'll be around. I'm a night owl, so I'll be around in chat for the next, for 116 games of hockey season. So drop any questions. I'll be working on stuff tonight. If you have any questions, just let me know. Shoot them up. We'll talk about cash, GPP, build outs for tomorrow.
Wait, guys, it's this is what got me started in the business. I started doing hockey. Been doing this for 6 years now. It's the only only writing award I've won thus far is Hockey Writer of the Year 4 years ago. We got the team, and boy, I was the Hockey Writer of the Year, and we got a team where I'm the least knowledgeable of the team. So I think we're in really good shape this year. I love where we're going with our NHL coverage and all the other sports. Again, $3.99 a week, banksterdfs.com, hockey and everything else. Check us out. Thank you, everyone. Sean, Hook, guys, amazing job. Really enjoyed the show tonight. Look forward to doing the live streams, not this Friday, but a week from Friday, because I'm going to be doing some NFL this Friday. We'll be coming back with the hockey live streams Friday nights, banksterdfs.com.